I'm going to talk to you today about habits. This is part 2 of the habits, like a workshop. I want you to be able to use this as a way to get yourself moving. We're going to be talking about some of those habits that you wrote down, some of those things that you already do. What are some of those habits, good or bad, that you already have in place? And then I want you to figure out the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. See if you can grab something like that out. If you have one in mind, you should be good to go. We're going to talk about keystone habits right now. Keystone habits are habits that we do that have a disproportionate impact on overall behavior. So making your bed is one that I find to be a very interesting one because I don't think I've ever made my bed until 3 years ago. And now I do it every single day, pretty much. And I will do it again later on because my kids are all in there. And then we're like getting ready for bed and my bed's all disheveled. I don't know why. It just feels so nice to have it made. Turns out, because I'm making my bed, I'm going to be a millionaire. Studies show that people who make their beds in the morning are 206.8% more likely to become millionaires. Not that I'm going to actually be a millionaire, because that is correlation, not necessarily causation. This is a research study by Randall Bell, and he talks about making your bed having a huge impact on the rest of your life. They call it a keystone habit because it tends to get other things moving. Meditation is like that as well, because if we are doing meditation, we are more likely to be clear-headed, we're more likely to be calm, thereby creating other calm, focused energy throughout the day. We might do that even more, and it builds on itself. Sleeping is another keystone habit. When I'm working with clients, if they're having some depression, I ask them about sleep because it is a clear indicator that depression is occurring. It can also be anxiety, but if somebody is not sleeping enough, they don't necessarily realize that affects every single thing else in their life. If you ever change any one thing, change your sleep to get more sleep, because it does affect our mood. It affects how much we crave sugar. It affects how likely we are to be in a car accident or to have another accident. It affects our memory. It affects our mood. And we don't even know we're sleep deprived. A part of sleep deprivation is we do not even know we are actually sleep deprived. That is like when people talk about drunk driving, that's a really poor choice. We know that. We understand that. A lot of times people that have a few cocktails don't necessarily know they're over the influence. You'll see those signs that say buzz drinking is drunk driving, because people don't realize how impaired they are. Same is true for sleep. There are studies now indicating that lack of sleep is just as dangerous as driving under the influence. And it doesn't take that much of a lack of sleep. Think about tiny habits. What are some keystone habits that could be beneficial? What are some habits that you could do that actually make other things a little easier or make other things better? I do yoga, for instance, and I swear that it impacts a lot of different things in my day. I'm so much more relaxed at bed, and I get to pay attention to my body. My daughter's doing it with me. Sometimes a couple of my sons will be in there. So it's connective, and we have special moments together. Best of all, the rule is no talking. So it is peaceful. It's with my daughter. Having that combined is a pretty good positive reward, right? We have little snuggles after. It's pretty great. Anyways, we're going to go into the principles from Atomic Habits. Now, anyone that has not read this book needs to read this book. It really lays out important information on how habits are formed and what we can do to increase our likelihood that we will create and maintain habits. There's also the one thing, somewhat where we're talking about the keystone habits. Similar concept to that of focusing in on one thing that makes other things a lot easier. Principles from Atomic Habits that you need to know. By focusing on small, manageable actions, we can build on our habits. So, we're talking about focusing in on what are some small things you can do to build on our current habits? What are some things you can do that is small and manageable that can make a big impact over a longer period of time? So, instead of thinking, I want to lose 10 pounds in 3 months, you could switch it to, I want to lose 15 pounds in the year. And if you happen to be someone that partakes in drinking full sugar soda, if you give up one soda every single day for the year, there's your 15 pounds. It's shifting how we are thinking about habits and thinking about goals and being healthy. You can do some small things that make a tremendous impact. Another example that they talk about atomic habits would be a plane being off by a degree. If a plane is flying and if they're off by 1 degree, let's say the pilot accidentally nudges it, that would be after 1 mile, they would be off course by 60 nautical miles. So an example would be flying San Diego to Hawaii. You would miss the whole island by 42 miles if you were off course by 1 degree. Take that in for what types of things you could do. That's one of the main principles. My takeaway from that book would be that. I get this question a lot. In fact, I just got this question today. How long does it take to solidify a habit? The verdict is out from my perspective on this. I have read many research articles, many books, and it doesn't quite give me an answer really anywhere. What you might hear is that it could take, a lot of people say it's about 30 days. And I think that that's a pretty solid rule of thumb to say, okay, let's do this habit for 30 days and see where we're at. Let's see if it feels a bit more automatic. Do you have to ask yourself, if you're going back and forth about the thing, it's not automatic. Brushing your teeth, you're usually not saying, should I today? Should I not today? You're not thinking at all. I'm talking about a typical day to day. You're not going to be asking that back and forth question. So it could be 30 days, but it could also be up to a full year. And it varies on the type of habit and it depends on how frequent you are doing the habit. I would recommend doing a habit every day if you're starting it and want to really have it ingrained in your life. Now, I talked about yoga. Every day won't work for me. I do it during the week when my kids are at school at bedtime. If it's on the weekend, I'm not doing it because the system isn't the same on the weekends. My kids might have sleepovers and other things going on. Do it every day if you want it to be a habit. You aren't going to have to ask those questions of, is today my day that I'm doing it? Or I'm going to do it next week instead. I'm going to start, or I'm going to go on walks every day. Just eliminate all of that. Because if you're thinking too much, it's going to create friction. You're not going to want to do it. So eliminate as much as that as possible. I don't want you thinking at all. All right. So another thing that I feel is important is talking about some of the challenges when we're making a habit. It's often that we'll deal with resistance and procrastination. Procrastination is going to be another fun topic that I'll talk about on a different day. But I just want to put it out there as that can sometimes be why. I want to talk about the resistance and some things that we can do to reduce resistance or reduce friction with some of the habits. What are some of the common obstacles? That is one of the things I want you to pay attention to when you are writing some of this down. When you're looking at a habit you want to do, think about that habit. What are some of those obstacles? One thing that comes up when I'm working with individuals is language. So you change should to want. We will tend to rebel very strongly with the word should, right? Like, I should do my laundry. We will legit say that to ourselves. So, really great to change that word. It just eliminates the natural tendency. By the way, we will rebel when we are told we should do something. When I say innate, it is about that decision making piece. So that when I'm saying innate, it means that we want to be able to make a decision for ourselves. So if we're telling ourselves we should be doing something, it's almost like some other something is telling us to, and we're not going to do that. But if we say, I want to do my laundry today so that I can wear this new outfit or my favorite socks, right? We're going to do that, or we have a better chance of doing it. And that's what I really want to see here for you is just like a better chance that you're going to do that laundry. Another part that I find to be really useful, they talk about it in Atomic Habits, but it's the idea of putting something pleasurable with something that you don't like to do. And by doing that, we start to create a positive feedback loop. That habit was really that I decided to listen to an audiobook when I'm doing laundry. So I can enjoy it. It's quiet. I'm just enjoying it. Pair it with something you like and you will want to do it again. I would do this with working out, where I was always loving Game of Thrones. So I would not allow myself to watch it unless I was working out. And that creates the feeling of wanting to work out. I don't want to work out necessarily, but I want to see what's going to happen on the next episode. Advice regarding habit forming techniques, that would be my number one go-to, is make it good. Motivation. I want to talk about this because we are often told that motivation is what we need to do something. Oh, why aren't you eating healthy today? It's not motivated. Why didn't you go on a run today? I'm just not motivated. Why didn't you clean out the garage today? Because I don't want to do that. Luckily, my husband does. But motivation is random. Typically, we can't just harness motivation. We can find some things that go into motivation, like when people say, why do you want to work out? You can say many reasons. I want to look good. I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. There's many reasons, but that doesn't always motivate us. It can motivate us to start, but it does not typically make us continue on. So we got to think about what other things can help us continue those habits. It's not going to be motivation alone, but motivation does tend to increase if we are getting that reward. Going back to the pairing of two things, that's an example of getting dopamine with working out because we're working out, but I'm also watching Game of Thrones, double dose of dopamine. And so that's going to motivate. That's truly what would be motivating about that situation. It's not that I want to be healthy or strong. Those are there, but that's not going to get me there today. It's watching what Jon Snow's going to do. That's what's going to get me to work out today. All right. Next up, willpower. This is the last area we're going to talk about today, exploring the science of willpower and its connection to habit formation. People have different views on willpower, but what we can say with willpower is that it's probably not a thing, or some other people say it is a thing, but it's not going to get you to do habits, or other people say it's a muscle. And so you need to make it stronger. Bottom line is we're not going to use willpower to get us to our habits. That's not going to work for most people. There's actually a very small amount of people that would probably be in that category, but that's not always going to be the most beneficial way for most people to do a new habit. The bottom line is that it doesn't really have much of a place in forming habits the way I'm describing it. Do some tricks, trick yourself. You're human. Use the tricks we know about being human and don't feel bad about it. Feel excited and proud of yourself that you are starting a habit. It's not really easy. If it was easy, then everybody would have all the healthiest habits. So be really gentle and compassionate about your habit journey because we don't need to be negative to ourselves. We hear enough negativity out there. So just say good job to yourself because you need it. We all need it. We can't forget about ourselves in this. We are there doing a new healthy habit. Say thank you. I started making my coffee the night before, and that was a new habit. One of my best friends makes it every night. And I was like, how do you remember to do that? I will never remember, right? Negative thoughts, right? But I could not fathom how she's remembering to do it. And then she said, well, I just do it when I'm cleaning up after dinner. Oh, that's why. But I thought, okay, maybe I can link it to the dinner time thing. So I get my coffee now ready. Usually I'm at an 80%. Usually I can get my coffee ready while I'm getting dinner ready. And I also thank myself. Yeah, I'm a total weirdo. I do thank myself and it feels really good. I make a little song and I sing it to myself and I say, thank you, Laurie. Da, da, da. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's weird, but I feel happy and I smile and I'm rolling my eyes at myself, but I'm making my coffee. And it was something I did not think I was going to be able to do. And so I gave it some extra oomph and it felt good and I do it. That's sometimes all you need. Just tell yourself you're doing a good job. All right. Have a great day. Thank you.